What's going on, everyone? So today I'm bringing you all some Palpatine Green, which has become a little bit of a boogeyman in the set 2 format. Honestly, kind of up there with Boba Yellow and Sabine Green, competing for one of the best decks in the format. Now, there are some matchups that are, of course, really bad, like Sabine Green usually tends to be a little bit poor. However, this has performed exceptionally well, it's even taken down some tournaments, and I want to go ahead and bring you all this deck. Definitely improved from the first time that I built it, simply because we were running Endless Legions as a little bit of a meme trying to get it to work. That card is certainly a very weak card, and instead we're just playing the straight up nice value list that we have with double green Palpatine. So before we get started, guys, I have two announcements. One, I have a TCG play link in the description down below. Be sure to use it for any of your set 2 or set 1 cards. And the second thing is I have started a Patreon, and a lot of you have already joined and gotten access to the Discord. So check it out down below. We're also going to be doing some viewer games shortly on the channel, potentially, or just, behind the scenes. So check it out if you're interested in that. Let's talk Palpatine. So first off, we have a leader that has an action to pay 1, exhaust, defeat a friendly unit, deal 1 damage to a unit, and draw a card. This is actually a pretty powerful ability. There's a lot of situations where, dealing that last point of damage actually is quite relevant. But more often than not, what we're doing with this is defeating things like Super Laser Technicians, V-Wings, this type of stuff to kind of get some value and set up for a Palpatine flip, because he flips for 8 resources, and when he flips, you get to steal a damaged unit. And when he attacks, you get to potentially do that frontside action, defeat a unit, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit and draw a card, or any unit and draw a card. And so what this allows you to do is kind of ramp into Palpatine, deal a little bit of damage here and there, draw some extra cards, flip Palpatine, steal a unit, and then take control of the board from there. That is where all the ramp comes in. Now, one thing to mention about this double green Palpatine deck, while we are a ramp deck and there are some really powerful things that we can be doing with our ramp, one of the ramp cards that I am not playing, and that most people tend to not play, is Price on Your Head. Now, Price on Your Head can be good, but when you're trying to play things like Resupply and Command, or even Super Laser Technicians, Price on Your Head can be sometimes hard to claim, because you actually have to kill an opponent's unit. And I've just found that using ECL, while it is reasonable and something that can potentially save you a lot of HP, this deck wants to be ramping, and so using ECL on some of our earlier units, can sometimes be a little bit weaker than just ramping into our Palpatine flip. And so between all that, we're actually not running Price on Your Head, and instead just running a more consistent, more sort of curve-based ramp deck. Starting us off here, let's talk about the ramp cards that we are running. As I mentioned earlier, Resupply and Command. These two are kind of the backbone, and one of the reasons why you actually want to run double green Palpatine. Resupply, very standard, 3 resource, gets a resource, essentially pretty standard stuff, and helps you get into the 5-drop area of the deck, which is really nice on turn 3. Then we have commands. This is really powerful, especially with some of our 2 resource plays, and allows you to potentially remove units off the battlefield and also ramp at the same time, which can be really powerful. We were also running Super Laser Technicians, nice little value unit, gets in for some damage, potentially deals enough to actually kill something with Palpatine action, and then ramps your resource. Remember, if you attack with this and it gets defeated, you then have 1 resource to use Palpatine's action, so that can be quite nice. In terms of our curve, starting us off here, we have a couple of 1-drops. I got a couple TIE Fighters and Salacious Crumbs. TIE Fighters work really well against certain matchups, especially the Tarkin matchup. Crumbs help us heal, help us potentially get some value with the action to return this unit to its owner's hand, helps us heal a little bit later on in the game. Then in our 2-drop slot, we have Eularans, V-Wings, and Scanning Officers. Now, one of the most powerful things you can do in this deck is play an official on turn 1 into a turn 2 Royal Guard, which is why we're playing the Scanning Officers. This is actually an official with 2 power. The other official that you could be running is Piet, and Piet is potentially pretty good in this deck because we have quite a few vehicles, especially Reinforcement Walker, that we could ambush, and is also high toughness to survive for the Emperor's Royal Guard to come down. But generally speaking, if you play an official on turn 1 and your opponent attacks it, you are feeling pretty good, and you're probably okay with it dying for the most part. Scanning Officer also has the very big upside of, in some matchups, really messing up their potential plays. Against Han double yellow, Han green, they oftentimes like to resource their DJs and their techs, and this can randomly hit stuff on turn 1 and prevent them from making a play. It is a lot more valuable than you might actually think initially, and really helps us set up for the deck. Viewing, also kind of a engine piece to help us use the Palpatine action. In terms of our 3-drops, we also have Star Viper and Phase 3 Dark Trooper alongside Super Laser Technician. Helps us heal since we're not going to take that many game actions usually in the early game, and Dark Trooper is just a really nice Sentinel. In our 4-drop slot, we have 3 copies of Enterprising Lackeys. This is a really nice way to kind of get some extra value out of a resource pile for when you have a ton of resources and nothing to do, but also is a 4-resource 5/5. Just really solid. And we also have 1 copy of Escort Skiff in the cases where, that's going to actually kill something and survive. It can be really quite powerful. In terms of top end, we got Darth Vader's, Reinforcement Walkers, our Quinton's Assault Carrier, and Devastator. Darth Vader comes down, kind of has us become the board equalizer, or is this kind of the board equalizer for our deck. Comes down, puts a Royal Guard or Super Laser Tech or Dark Trooper into play. Reinforced Walker helps us stabilize afterwards for any deck that has a lot of reach, like Sabine, for example, where they can get in direct damage. Darth Vader kind of controls the board. Reinforced Walker finishes that off with the heal. And then the end-game finishers are oftentimes things like the Devastator. Our Quinton's Assault Carrier can help us ramp into Devastator, which is really nice. Only the one of because, well, in some matchups, it's going to be pretty weak. But against, like, Fet's Fire Spray, Assault Carrier can be amazing. Our Assault Cruiser can be amazing. As for the last pieces of our deck, we got a couple copies of Rolling Barrage, just a really powerful value play. Works exceptionally well with Enterprising Lackeys, giving you 7 power, basically wiping anything off the entire board. And Enterprising Lackeys usually survive, so if you go Enterprising Lackeys into Overwhelming Barrage, that can be really powerful. And a couple copies of Timely Intervention to help us get things like Reinforcement Walker Ambushed, or things like Enterprising Lackeys Ambushed to help us control the board. The last thing that I want to mention is I do have a sideboard. Mainly, we're finishing some playsets, things like Traitorous, Salacious Crumb, and TIE Fighter, all of which have their respective matchups. Confiscate helps us in certain upgrade-based, strategies or things that are decks that are playing Frozen Carbonite, Entrenched, and random other upgrades like that. Remnant Reserves helps us kind of dig for some units. Relentless, really good in the control matchup. And then Super Laser Blast. This is a little bit of an interesting one. I have seen people play Super Laser Blast a lot. In various random decks and also in Palpatine Green, and I found that in certain matchups this is actually a really powerful way to deal with a lot of stuff. In the mid-range matchup particularly is when Super Laser Blast becomes really good, where you're playing it for 10 resources but you've already ramped a lot, and this actually clears the board of your opponent's big stuff, and then you can start deploying some big stuff as well, especially if they expect your Palpatine flip just to have to deal with that and then deploy a bunch of stuff to kind of deal with that stealing of units. Super Laser Blast can catch them off guard and really turn the game in your favor. This deck is really powerful, and I'm excited to play around with it because I love me some ramp. Let's dive into some games and check out some Palpatine Green today. Into our first matchup against Luke Green. Now, this hand is kind of not exciting, but it is a reasonable hand. And there is a chance I could mulligan this into some more ramp, but I think I'm just going to keep this because against Luke Green here, playing some just high value units seems to be something that is going to benefit us pretty reasonably here. So let's hope that we can get some value with this Scanning Officer. Maybe they have some sort of like covert strength in the resource pile. Not likely. Looks like the resource a Marauder and a Bad Batch, or a Marauder and a Kanan. Okay. Not too bad. They're going to put a shield token on Bale, most likely. Shield token on Bale. Pretty standard stuff. We have a Command and a Royal Guard. Royal Guard is very nice here. And I think I'm just going to drop that in, since that's going to really protect our Scanning Officer. I think here also I'm just going to deploy the Royal Guard first, since they are going to take a bunch of actions here with the Bale, since they're going to play a unit, give it an experience token. If it's a 2-drop, they're going to give it a shield token, so we can kind of play this to protect our Scanning Officer and then hit their Bail Organa here. Next turn, we can go Command, deal some damage. Can't kill Bail Organa because this has non-unique enemy unit, but we can ramp with it, which is going to be nice. And this is one of the reasons why Scanning Officer is so good. Getting a 3/5 Sentinel on turn 2 is just so powerful. Oftentimes way more powerful than a Phase 3 Dark Trooper. Even though it can grow, it oftentimes will not. So we just have to keep that in mind. Wow, they're going to claim initiative. That is very weak from our opponent. So let's go ahead and just attack Bale to get rid of the shield. We drew ourselves a Devastator, which looks pretty good here. Honestly, I'm going to keep it, even though we're pretty far away from it. Question is, do I want to resource this Star Viper or the V-Wing? I think at this stage in the game, because we have our board built out, the V-Wing or the Star Viper is not going to get the restore. So not really a reason to go ahead and play it. Okay. They're going to use their Bale to kind of get rid of an action, I suppose, since they can't give an experience token to something else. Pretty easy. They're going to claim initiative again, huh? All right, well, let's attack for 3 and then just play an Enterprising Lackeys. I wanted to go ahead and get this command down, but I mean, if our opponent's just going to sit there and do essentially nothing for 2 turns in a row, then I'll just build out a board and hit them, right? Like that's pretty straightforward. My guess is that they have something they're going to ECL out here, and that's what they are waiting for. Oh, they're going to Traitorous. Okay. Let's just go ahead and command here. I like command. Let's go ahead and deal damage and resource. And the way this works is we're going to get the value, kill the unit, get in for some damage, and get the resource done, which is kind of nice. Time intervention could be potentially pretty good here, but I think I'm going to resource it, as we're going to have so much resource available, so many resources available to us here. Let's just go ahead and deal a damage to the Obi-Wan here. And we're going to be able to steal it with the Palpatine flip. And now if they deploy Luke here and give it a shield token, which remember, they can if they want, we're going to be able to steal the Obi-Wan with a shield. So they should not give a shield token to Obi-Wan. All right, well, they gave a shield token to Obi-Wan, which doesn't make much sense, to be honest. I suppose I could just kill the Luke by defeating the Obi-Wan, and I think that's probably the safer play. I don't know of anything in Luke green that would prevent us or have us kind of be sad that we kept Obi-Wan on the field. But I think the safe play is just to kill Luke here. Defeat... Actually, I'm not even... I don't actually see any way that they could be in a spot where we're sad that we kept Obi-Wan on the field. And now we're at 10 resources, so that's really, really quite nice. Okay, they have a Rival's Fall. Sure, that doesn't do anything. Not scared of that at all. Sure, they killed Palpatine, but this game is completely a wrap. This game was not even close. That's mainly because the Luke Green player had no plays on turn 2 and turn 3. So, I mean, what are you going to do? Here, I don't really see a reason to deploy, the big threats. I'm just going to go V-Wing, Star Viper, and then pass. There's not really a reason to try to get down this Darth Vader when we have complete board control. We could deploy some other mediocre threats, but kind of a strange game, to be honest. I suppose they're just relying on the Obi-Wan, but as soon as they saw me deal damage to Obi-Wan, they definitely should not have put a shield token on it, especially after the resupply there. They knew that I could just steal the Obi-Wan, and well, pretty straightforward game 1. Got ourselves a matchup against Tarkin Yellow. Now, this is a matchup where the TIE Fighters and cards like Consortium Star Viper are actually really solid. This is not a great hand. I'm going to mulligan this. This is a little bit of a better hand. I do like this one a little bit more. I'll keep a Reinforcement Walker, resource one of the Royal Guards. And the reason I'm going to go ahead and resource one of the Royal Guards is because if they deal with the Yularen, I'd rather have the Phase 3 Dark Trooper guaranteed Sentinel versus just a 3/5. So that is something that I have to keep in mind. Give myself at least the most amount of options available. Generally speaking, though, Tarkin's going to take a lot of actions. They're going to go Bazine Natal here. All right, Bazine turn 1 is not exactly that scary. They can't even put an experience token on it. They can take the Yularen, which is fine. If they do, I'll play a Phase 3 Dark Trooper. Exactly why I kept one of each. Looks like they're going to take the Phase 3 Dark Trooper. Okay, we're going to play a Yularen then. That is totally fine. Drew ourselves in our Quinton's Assault Carrier and a Traitorous. Those two cards are the cards that I want to see in this matchup. That is excellent, excellent, excellent stuff. And I'm just going to go ahead and resource this Reinforcement Walker. Traitorous is going to be amazing in this matchup. Salacious Crumb can give me a little bit more HP. Remember, every single time I play the Salacious Crumb, it's going to heal me 2, which is pretty crazy. Them attacking with Bazine Natal here. It doesn't really do a whole lot. So we're just going to go ahead and hit Bazine here for 2. And we're going to pass. Got ourselves a TIE Fighter, Super Laser Technician. The Traitorous is going to be amazing here. Don't even need the TIE Fighter. I'm just going to Traitorous the TIE Phantom. Let's go ahead and just play a Super Laser Technician. Now, I can defeat the Super Laser Technician to kill the Bazine, but I don't even know if I want to necessarily do that. It's not a bad play because then I can play the Salacious Crumb directly after. Let's attack with Yularen. Depends on what they play here. Defeating something, drawing a card, healing 2 seems reasonable to me. Another TIE Phantom, huh? All right, in that case, I'm going to go on and attack for 3. And then just play a Crumb, heal 2. And then pass. Got ourselves a Devastator, which could potentially be okay, but not against these TIE Phantoms. So we're just going to go ahead and Traitorous the TIE Phantom. They have a Traitorous of their own. All right, well, we're going to Traitorous their TIE Phantom. It's kind of funny. Traitorous is pretty good for them in this spot. Like, getting my Super Laser Tech can be pretty good, but our Traitorous of the Phantom is way worse for them. Like, us playing Traitorous is, like, so much worse for them. Let's go ahead and... Do I want to action? No, I think I just want to attack for their base for a couple points of damage. If they want to get down a Tarkin here, that's fine. I wouldn't imagine that they would want to, but I could be wrong. Let's go ahead and attack the Tarkin for 1. And then let's claim initiative. Resupply, Timely, huh? Timely can go ahead into the resource pile. I'm going to go ahead and return this Crumb to my hand to deal 1 to the Tarkin. They got themselves a Pirate Battle Tank, huh? Okay, let's just go ahead and resupply. And now if they wish to kill the Yularen, that's okay. If they don't, we could deal damage to the Pirate Battle Tank. Okay, in that case, let's go ahead and just deal damage to the Pirate Battle Tank. And let's go ahead and replay a Yularen, since we just drew it. Devastator looks pretty good here. Now that we've dealt with both TIE Phantoms, and we're at 0 damage on our base, we're going to be able to flip Palpatine to steal the Pirate Battle Tank. I don't really see how we can lose this game at this point. Yep, they're going to go on and attack with the tank here. I see no reason to not steal the Pirate Battle Tank. I'm just going to go ahead and steal it. If they... Looks like they have a Darth Vader. And if they would like to ambush, I'm okay with that. I'm tempted to play the Salacious Crumb, kill the Tarkin and the Vader. Well, that doesn't actually work. Hold on. Snowtrooper Lieutenant, huh? Sure. Snowtrooper Lieutenant is fine. I mean, Darth Vader is not normally something that you play in the Tarkin yellow decks. Wow, and they get to attack with the Tarkin. Yeah, pretty nice. We're going to go ahead and attack their Tarkin. And then we're going to play a Reinforcement Walker. And I will not go ahead and draw the time intervention, just heal up. Make sure I'm completely safe in this matchup. Try to heal up as much as I possibly can. We have our own Darth Vader. We have the Assault Carrier. They have an Overwhelming Barrage. So they could deal 7 to something, which doesn't actually kill anything here. A little bit unfortunate for them, I suppose. Let's see what they decide to go for here. Okay, they're just going to hit the Reinforcement Walker for 7. In that case, I am just going to trade my Reinforcement Walker with their Vader. And I will draw a card here. This prevents a bunch of damage, and I'd rather keep Palpatine on the board. We have an Assault Carrier or Assault Cruiser and the Overwhelming Barrage. I could Overwhelming Barrage, kill both units, but I could also just Assault Cruiser, ambush the TIE Fighter, and then get a resource out of it, which puts us in an amazing spot to be able to go ahead and like timely out a Reinforcement Walker should we draw one. Just like everything is super nice for us here. Here, let's just go ahead and kill the Snowtrooper Lieutenant. They're going to claim initiative. We're going to play a Salacious Crumb, heal 1. And I mean, this game is essentially over at this point. We have a Devastator, we have a Darth Vader, we have an Overwhelming Barrage, we have Command. I mean, we can even get back the Reinforcement Walker, and then we can timely hit out next turn. Like, there are just so many options that we have. Them playing Darth Vaders in this, like, the yellow target deck's normally like a tempo aggro deck. Playing Bazines and Darth Vaders, while they can be good in some matchups, not very good in this particular one. Pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go ahead and kill their TIE Fighter, and we get to get another resource here. Triple Dark Rain. TIE Advanced. Let's just go ahead and Overwhelming Barrage, I suppose, for 9. And then kill, like, everything. We're going to go 2 here. 1 here. 6 here. And I'm just gonna play a Vader, get ourselves a phase 3 Dark Trooper, no ambush, and then attack in for 1, and then pass. So we could ambush out a Devastator, which is actually sweet. You can see our Quinton's Assault Cruiser really coming in this matchup. It's ramped us twice now, which gives us all these options, and has dealt with all their space units. And our opponent DC'd. All right. So I don't know if they're going to come back, but the game is kind of over. My guess is that they just left the game. Interesting little more mid-rangey focused yellow Tarkin. This, I think, is way weaker against us than the more traditional aggro focus. Playing Darth Vaders against us really doesn't help them a whole lot. They really want to be honed in on getting to the board early and killing us. They did get the double TIE Phantom, which is a little bit concerning in this deck, but the Traitorous is where that just kind of hoses their entire strategy. It killed both TIE Phantoms. One Traitorous killed both TIE Phantoms on their side of the battlefield, which is just absurd. And then their Traitorous on our Super Laser Technician, while it did slow us down, them trying to get into the late game against us is really, really weak, and we would much prefer that. So anyways, nice little game 2. On to the next one. Into our next matchup, we got ourselves against a Grand Inquisitor Green. Not a deck I have seen basically at all, but we have a pretty nice hand. I'm going to go ahead and resource this Reinforcement Walker and the TIE Fighter. Just play the Scanning Officer into the Royal Guard, give us that official into the Sentinel, which is going to be pretty nice, I hope. So let's go Scanning Officer. Oh, I almost resourced it because I just thought it was my play. But Grand Inquisitor Green, no plays in turn 1. Keep Fighting is revealed with the Scanning Officer. The Darth Vader looks pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and resource this phase 3 Dark Trooper since we have the Sentinel in the Royal Guard here on turn 2. Then we can go Command into Command, assuming they don't play a bunch of unique units. We can just wipe their board and resource twice and then play a Vader, which looks pretty good too. Could draw something else as well. Opponent's deciding what to resource. Resource this phase 3 Dark Trooper. Super Laser Technician, huh? All right, let's go Emperor's Royal Guard. They can deal 2 damage to the Super Laser Technician if they'd like. Don't know if that's necessarily that great. Okay, they're going to deal 2. Let's attack for 2 here then. The reason why is because our next play is going to be Command, which means we want them to play a card anyways. Otherwise, we can't actually use Command to kill one of their units. So there's not really a point to not attacking with 2, because I would have passed anyways to start off the turn, or just started off by attacking with the Scanning Officer. But I think I prefer our opponent to have the first action. So that's a unique unit, which means I am going to actually attack with the Royal Guard. Because what I'm hoping here is that they're going to go ahead and ready up the 5th brother. If they don't, that's okay. If they play like something else or whatever, that's okay, because I can just give 2 experience to my Royal Guard. So here they readied up the 5th brother. We just kill the 5th brother with the Scanning Officer. And then we get to Command, give experience and resource. Let's build a gigantic Royal Guard. Now they could have Traitorous, but we can also Traitorous our own Royal Guard back, which is kind of funny. I don't know if I necessarily care for you, Lauren, here. It is nice to have a backup Sentinel, but I think we're so far ahead at this point that it doesn't matter. Our opponent's really done nothing but play Super Laser Tech and a Fifth Brother. And the Fifth Brother just died to our 2-drop. They have ECL Kylo Ren, huh? Also not scary, realistically. Because here we get to go ahead and kill the Kylo Ren. They can flip Fifth Brother. Just gonna get rid of it with the units that we have on board here. No reason not to. I can return a scanning officer or a royal guard. They're gonna claim initiative. Let's go command resource, return a unit. Let's go ahead and return the royal guard, play a V-wing, draw a card, draw our second and third royal guard. I'm gonna go ahead and resource one of them. Clan challengers, huh? All right, in that case, let's just go ahead and attack for 1. If they deal 2 damage to the clan challengers, then we can just steal it. Yeah, I don't know if that was necessarily a good play from our opponent. Just steal the clan challengers. They basically gave us a free steal. I decided to, yeah. I decided to attack for with the V-wing because I expected them to do that. And even if they hadn't done that, then we could always have just done our action a little bit later, since the Palpatine action plus Vader was doable in that turn. So I didn't really see us needing to do anything else realistically. Don't necessarily think this is a good matchup for our opponent, but they didn't really do a whole lot. They played a total of 4 cards: Super Laser Tech, Fifth Brother, Kylo Ren, and the Clan Challengers. And the Super Laser Technician was essentially a 3-resource ramp, like a resupply. And the Kylo Ren essentially traded for our 3-drop, which is kind of nice because our scanning officer kind of traded with their 2. Like, we essentially traded with everything above curve because our scanning officer killed their 5th brother and lived, and then we traded our scanning officer plus the royal guard to kill their Kylo Ren, and we got to ramp out of it. So plus, I don't know, it was just kind of like a straightforward game. I don't think our opponent had many options in this game, to be honest, but interesting seeing the ECL Kylo. I do love that. On to the next one. Into our next matchup, and we got ourselves a tricky one against Han Double Yellow. This is a pretty nice hand, though. I kind of like everything that's going on here. I'm not going to actually keep the Overwhelming Barrage in my hand because there's a very good chance they're going to want to play a Bodhi. And there's also a chance I could get rid of this resupply, but there's a better chance that I'll be able to play resupply next turn. So I'm just going to go to resource this Ular and Overwhelming Barrage. They're going to go ahead and action. Let's go ahead and scanning officer. We hit C-3PO, Ezra Bridger, and looks like they played a turn 1 Bodhi. Okay, so scanning officer is really good in this matchup because of the fact that you can go ahead and get rid of things like DJ and Tech, which are the things that are a little bit more scary in this matchup. Let's go Super Laser Technician. I could have just gotten rid of both events with the expectation of Bodhi. I was hoping that they were going to have a turn 1 Bodhi because turn 1 Bodhi isn't like insanely powerful. It's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like crazy powerful. Let's just go ahead and attack into their base for 2. Don't really see a reason to kill off my scanning ops just to deal 2 to Bodhi, especially we have things like Phase 3 Dark Trooper in hand and a Super Laser Technician here. They have Millennium Falcon. Okay, so Millennium Falcon isn't the scariest in this spot. Oh, command is quite nice, though. So command here, they're going to pay 1. Interesting. Let's just go ahead and go command resource experience. I'm going to give the experience to scanning officer over Super Laser Technician because I don't want them bouncing Super Laser Technician. That would be pretty sad for us. If they bounce a scanning officer, I'm more okay with that. Not in a great spot. We need to draw ourselves some pretty good cards here. As I said, this is a tricky matchup. Very, very tricky. If they have like the Tech DJ combo, or specifically a DJ coming out early on, that can mess us up. We need to be drawing a little bit more powerful cards at this stage of the game. Let's just go ahead and kill the Bodhi. They have a cunning. Let's see if they make us discard, return a unit. So they're going to return the scanning officer and then hit for 7. Okay, so we're going to get in for 2 here, and then we're going to claim initiative. Very good. Not that great of draws here. They're going to return the Millennium Falcon to their hand. I'm a little bit surprised on that, but that means that they most likely have a 7-drop to play. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to start off with Scanning Officer, see if I can hit something nice. Okay, so we revealed a New Adventure and Spark of Rebellion. They're going to flip a Han Solo this turn. Let's go Star Viper. Let's go ahead and deal a damage to the Han Solo. And we're going to go ahead and claim initiative and see what they've got as their 7-drop. U-Wing reinforcements would be much more scary than, well, Han Solo, for example. Ooh, Time Intervention out a Reinforcement Walker looks pretty good here. But we're just going to go Darth Vader. Get a Phase 3 Dark Trooper. Awesome. And kill their Han leader. And now if they attack our Phase 3 Dark Trooper with Han Solo, then we can deal a damage to the Han Solo and flip and take it. They can return it to their hand, of course, which is pretty nice. A New Adventure is one of the tech pieces against Emperor Palpatine, so I'm surprised that they resourced it because it allows them to essentially replay it. They can't a New Adventure the Han Solo because it costs 6, but or costs 7, and you need to place it that costs 6, but something to consider. They can't play another 7-drop here, which is why I took out Han Solo rather than hitting the Han Solo. Well, I took out Han Solo leader rather than hitting the Han Solo unit because I was afraid of a 7-drop here. So another, they have viewing for reinforcements, but like another Han Solo could be interesting. They're gonna Cantina Bouncer, huh? Okay. We are just going to deal a damage to the Han Solo. I don't care about getting rid of Darth Vader. It doesn't really have any relevance in this stage in the game. Let's just go ahead and attack in, not defeat Han, and then pass. Traitorous, not exactly that great in this matchup. I have a lot of cards in hand. Cantina Bouncer could bounce the Han Solo. They have a Spark of Rebellion. That's totally fine. Spark of Rebellion doesn't really do anything at this stage in the game. They can take whatever. We're just going to kill their Cantina Bouncer. And now, okay, double Spark of Rebellion. Again, totally fine. We have a million cards in hand. We're just going to deploy actual threats. Let's go ahead and get a V-Wing down. We got ourselves an Overwhelming Barrage. Let's see if they have some sort of smuggle option. They do not. Let's go Star Viper, TIE Fighter, attack. I will defeat the V-Wing just to get an extra draw here. And look at that. That's a Devastator. So we are pretty set at this point. And I can go ahead and resource this Time Intervention because I can actually Time Intervention out the Reinforcement Walker from our resource pile. They have a Tech. And I'm going to kill Tech because they could smuggle out any matter of cards. Not that it really matters because we basically won the game here. But, you know, there's no reason not to really do that. Like, we have a Devastator to follow up. So we're going to Devastator kill Tech. And, I mean, the game is by far over here. We just attack, 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 and the game is over. So this matchup could be a little bit tricky. The turn 1 Bodhi is something to consider. But realistically, you just don't want to get tempoed out too much. Tough matchup. Yeah, this could be tough for various reasons. It depends on kind of the draw for each player, but if they are able to get an early Tech DJ and get us down a resource and defeat it, that's really how they win this matchup. If they're not able to do that, then it's really tricky because they can follow up things with like Cantina Bouncer, bounce your Reinforcement Walker, or like Han Solo, kill your Enterprising Lackeys, or whatever. So it's really tricky if they don't get an early tempo advantage and put themselves ahead on resources. And we were able to kind of come back because of that. So overall, pretty nice. And on to the next one. Into our next matchup. It has been a long time, but we got ourselves a matchup against Boba Green, one of the OG decks. This is a pretty easy resource of Resupply and Enterprising Lackeys. I'm going to go turn 1 Yularen, turn 2 Super Laser Tech, turn 3 Command, turn 4 Darth Vader. And that will be quite excellent. Into turn 5 Emperor Palpatine, and resourcing the Enterprising Lackeys isn't even that big of a deal because we can always smuggle them out a little bit later on, which is quite nice. Yularen on turn 1 is also pretty good since we are a little bit more of the defensive deck here. Let's see what our opponent's got on turn 1. If they have a Bazine, that would be kind of not like that bad for us, because again, if we're getting into the late game, we usually outpace a Boba Green. They're going to ECL out a Dr. Evazan. Wow. That is extremely, extremely surprising to me. But hey, I mean, that's an ECL down for us. So that's really, really good for us, to be honest. There's not like that many targets, to be honest, in the early game. So I can understand why they did it. Still was a little bit surprising. So here, next turn, what I could do is like command give to experience and resource to try to attack the Dr. Evazan. But that's really scary, because if they have like a waylay, we are really, really far behind. So I don't necessarily want to do anything like that. We can go and resource our command here. And I'm just going to hit the Dr. Evazan and get into the resource here. Let's go ahead and play a Royal Guard. And if they attack with their Super Laser Technician, I will 100% defeat my Royal Guard to kill their Dr. Evazan. Drew ourselves another Royal Guard. Let's go ahead and go command, resource, return a unit. Let's go ahead and return this Yularen. Let's see if they have like a Boba Fett's armor or whatnot. They didn't ready up additional resources. Okay. Overwhelming Barrage could potentially be pretty good. I think I'm going to get rid of this Royal Guard. Mercenary Gunship is potentially a little bit scary. Can't steal it by any means at this stage of the game, but that's okay. Get a Super Laser Technician, resolve the ambush attack, hit Boba Fett for 5. And we're going to see what they've got. They're going to have something pretty good. They can't take out my Darth Vader with Crafty Smuggler. We just need to make sure we don't get killed, essentially, between this turn and the next. Okay, they have an Overwhelming Barrage. I'm curious. Okay, they're just going to kill my my Darth Vader. That's not like that crazy for them unless they have a 3-drop to follow up with. They do have a 3-drop to follow up with. What an amazing, amazing hand. Okay, so that is very, very scary from our opponent. Let's go ahead and start off with killing Boba. So they can attack for 5, 8 damage. Let's just flip Palp. Let's go ahead and play a Reinforcement Walker. Heal 3. If they have a Fett's Fire Spray, we are just dead. There's nothing that we can really do about it. Let's go ahead and attack into the Crafty Smuggler. I'm doing this so that we can Overwhelming Barrage on the following turn. If they claim initiative, then they're going to have like a surprise strike or whatever to kind of get rid of what we got going on here. Because we can Overwhelming Barrage away their cards. So they need to have surprise strike, which they could very well have. Or like a shoot first. That also works. Because what they might want to do, yeah. So they're going to try to go for this play, which is a little bit risky because of exactly this. So we have 2, 4. So we can do 3. Wait, whoops. We're going to do 4, 2, 2. And then we can also Boba Fett's armor, huh? All right, well, we're going to kill that. Not draw the V-Wing. And whew, what a close game. Let's go Yularen. Let's attack into their base. No defeat. I want to keep both these guys healing away. Time intervention can be potentially amazing in this spot. I'm going to go ahead and resource the Escort Skiff. I actually would like to keep a time intervention in hand and one in the resource pile at this stage in the game. So they went with the, I'm going to try to get the most value here. Forlom, kill your Reinforcement Walker, I suppose. Okay. Let's just attack with you, Lauren, then. Because they're going to have to do something. Boba Green doesn't really have many options to deal direct damage to our base, so... we just have to make sure that they don't have units on the battlefield. Let's play a Devastator, kill the Super Laser Technician, and then pass. Overwhelming Barrage Part 2 can probably be resourced. That's a Maul. Hit us for 4. Nice. Let's just go ahead and go Overwhelming Barrage on the Palpatine. And now we kill. Now we kill. Ooh, no good to me dead. All right, all right, all right. Let's go Star Viper. Attack. Pass. Fet's Fire Spray doesn't do it because Devastator's a Sentinel. Maul doesn't do it because Palp is 10 toughness. Wow. Close one. Close one. Dr. Evazan. Let's attack for 3 here. Let's go Timely Intervention. The Reinforcement Walker. No Devastator draw. Would like to ambush. Would like to kill the Greedo. Would not like to draw the TIE Fighter. And now we can sacrifice the Star Viper to deal damage to Dr. Evazan and then ready up all of our resources so that we can play the Assault Cruiser if we would like to. And that is going to be Enterprising Lackeys, which we can get down. We can then play a Scanning Officer. We had a bunch of nonsense. And I suppose we can go ahead and command, return a unit, resource, return the Darth Vader, and then pass. Pretty nice one, huh? Pretty nice one. Lots of stuff going on. Maul is the only thing I guess we have to be afraid of. I didn't consider Maul, but that is something that can kill us kind of out of nowhere. We just have to have high toughness units. But hey, I mean, we got there. It was close. That was a close battle, but we got there. The thing that made it really close was that Overwhelming Barrage taking out our unit on that key turn. But we barely got there. Barely got there. I think we were at, what, 28 or 29 HP? Pretty close matchup against Boba Green. On to the next. And into our next matchup against that Sabine Green. A little bit frightening. I'm going to go ahead and resource this Darth Vader and this Scanning Officer, because we can start off with a Yularen into Star Viper curve, which is really nice. Or a Yularen into Super Laser Technician curve, which is also quite nice. We have the initiative, which allows us to play that Star Viper and be pretty happy about it as well. Super Laser Technician is also an option. We're going to go ahead and claim initiative here. If they deal a damage, that's okay, because we just get to heal it up with Yularen. And we drew ourselves another Overwhelming Barrage. I think I'm going to go ahead and resource that second one. And I think I'm just going to start off by playing a Star Viper. Well, do I want to do that? The way this goes bad is if they have like a Wing Leader, because then they can kill my Star Viper. It's not like the worst by any means, but it is not as valuable as getting a Super Laser Technician down. But it does prevent a lot of damage, which is kind of nice. Because if they go Wing Leader and then kill my Star Viper, which they're kind of forced to do, because otherwise I kill their Wing Leader and heal too. Okay, well, that is kind of worst case scenario. Let's go ahead and hit for 2 here. They're going to hit. Okay, they're going to action Sabine. Sure. They're kind of forced to hit the Star Viper. If they don't, then I think that is a little bit risky from our opponent. Not necessarily wrong, depending on their hand, but it is risky for sure. So A-Wing into Wing Leader. Yep, they're going to kill. That makes sense to me. Enterprising Lackeys. Definitely going to be the play this turn. Nice 5/5 body is going to be huge with an Overwhelming Barrage. Also can't be killed by an ECL K2, which is going to be quite nice. They have a Fleet Lieutenant. So let's go ahead and... Do I want to hit? I think I do have to hit their Fleet Lieutenant for 2. Because we do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're going to be able to flip Sabine. That's a big amount of damage here. I mean, it's not the worst for us because we have an Overwhelming Barrage next turn, which is going to be able to basically knock out their entire board. Okay, Reinforcement Walker, V-Wing looks pretty bad here. But yeah, we're just going to go Overwhelming Barrage here and knock out basically everything. So let's see, we need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can do 3 to Sabine, 1 to Fleet Lieutenant, 1 to Wing Leader, and 2 to A-Wing. Very nice Overwhelming Barrage. And now if they have ECL Poe Dameron, that doesn't even get to kill our Enterprising lackeys, which is quite amazing. That is a Fleet Lieutenant. So let's go ahead and just kill off the Sabine. Get rid of it. See if they claim initiative. A-Wing. All right, let's claim initiative then. Command, huh? Ooh, I like command quite a bit here. So we can command, deal damage, experience. So give 2 experience, deal damage to the A-Wing. They have ECL Wrecker here. Then that could be a little bit scary. Because they ECL Wrecker, deal 5, they get to keep the Wreck around, they can just hit us for 3 and then 7 next turn, and then they have the Sabine action, so that's probably just game over if they have that. But there's really not too much that we can do in this spot. Because we need to not take as much damage. Let's go ahead and just kill the Fleet Lieutenant for sure. Avoid as much damage as humanly possible. Let's claim initiative here. Another Reinforcement Walker. Not exactly what we want to be seeing right now. Let's go ahead and just kill K2. Otherwise, they can hit us for more by killing the Enterprise or by attacking us for 4, and then we still have to deal. Choose a card. What do you mean choose a card? Huh? What? Oh, okay, I see. The Enterprising lackeys was killed, so we got to put a resource in. I was like, what is going on here? Inspiring Mentor. Okay. Not bad. Let's go ahead and put a Super Laser Technician down. They had Rebel Assault. Okay, let's go ahead and play a Salacious Crumb. We can defeat the Super Laser Technician to get a resource back, which allows us to play the Emperor Palpatine and then get a Royal Guard down. Flip, take the Sabine, play the Royal Guard, attack into their base, no defeats, and then pass. So now if they have like a Wrecker, for example, then they don't actually kill us, which is kind of nice. I do like that. If they have a Poe, it doesn't kill us. If they have a Flora Cause, that also doesn't kill us. All we're trying to do here is stay alive. Just heal, 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 heal. If they play a unit, that would be kind of nice. Because then we can potentially just kill it straight up. I think we can get rid of the Super Laser Technician here. If they play like a 3-drop space unit, then Traders could potentially be useful. They have ECL Wrecker. Okay, so ECL Wrecker does not kill us. Because they have to hit the Royal Guard. Or they can defeat the resource to kill the Royal Guard. And then hit one of my other units. They're going to hit the Salacious Crumb, huh? Okay, let's just play a Reinforcement Walker. And not draw the Enterprising lackeys. They're going to claim initiative. Okay, so they're trying to... Their out is for a cause, I suppose. pass. And they're trying to look for 4 cause. We're still in a little bit of a tricky spot for sure. We do have options. Go ahead and resource probably this command. Wow, Wrecker is scary. Even with the state of the game, Wrecker is still scary. So if they draw 4 cause, I think we just lose. That's probably what they were searching for. Like they're out is like, okay, if I draw 4 cause, I can still potentially win. That is not a 4 cause. So I think what we do is we just go ahead and attack immediately. Heal up another 3. Now whatever they play, we can go ahead and just kill it with Devastator. Devastator kill the Fleet Lieutenant. And then pass. And now I don't know if there's any outs. So our opponent didn't have any 4 causes, so not like an amazing hand, but they did have kind of the ideal start, which is what I was scared of, right? A wing and a wing leader is like, ooh, that is terrifying. They didn't have a Podameron, but they did have a Wrecker, which we did have to be careful about. And that was the 4 cause. So if they drew 4 cause on the previous turn, that would have been the end of the game, as you can see here. Ketsuonyo, Spec Force Soldier, Fighters for Freedom, Ketsuonyo. So we were 1 turn off of just straight up dying. But very, very, very close game. Wow, that was really, really close. That is the power of Sabine Green. Now, we had a very good hand against Sabine because of our Yularen into Star Viper. That's a great hand. Yularen into Royal Guard's also great. But that was really scary. I think our opponent kind of had like a middling draw. They had a really nice start, but they didn't have like an amazing end game because they didn't have the 4 cause and they didn't have like an immediate ECL Wrecker or ECL Podameron, which would have potentially just completely messed us up. But great game. Looks like our opponent over here is playing the Sabine Green that I made a video on the other day, which is awesome. I noticed the Inspiring Mentor. That's awesome. But the Sabine Green is very strong, and as you saw there, we almost just got absolutely brutalized by it. Very, very close game, and that was a really fun matchup. Into our next matchup, we actually ended up playing a couple more games, or at least 1 more game with that Sabine Green player, and we ended up losing barely. We were just off from maybe getting some healing going, but got ourselves a new matchup against Ray Red. Now, this matchup is really tough. I'm not going to mulligan this hand. This is actually a really solid hand. Because the way this matchup works is if they have pillages and force throws, we are in a big amount of trouble because we do not have the card quantity to really deal with getting discarded and ramping and playing our big stuff. Like there's just too many things. Now, this matchup has a lot more leeway than perhaps something like a Vader would have. If we played Vader, for example, one of the big problems is Vader doesn't have things like, well, command, for example, to really give us a couple more options available to, well, get some more value, like command. Or Palpatine giving us a little bit more options in that we can sacrifice things to draw cards, which is quite nice. Star Viper coming down on the following turn. They have an A-Wing, which is fine. They're going to give that an experience token. And we are probably just going to deal damage to the A-Wing and resource, I think is what we want to do here. So let's go ahead and deal damage and resource. Deal 3 to the A-Wing. I would have killed the Sabine if I had the opportunity to. They do have a Tarkin Town, so if they go ahead and hit us and we hit the A-Wing, then they get to Tarkin Town our Star Viper. But this allows us to ramp while also, you know, kind of clearing up some of the board. Brutal. That is brutal. We really did not want to see the Dawn Interceptor. So the way this has gone for us has been absolutely atrocious. But you know, we might be able to get there still. They're going to go ahead and get in some damage here, get in some more damage. And let's see. We draw ourselves another command. Okay, so I think the Enterprising Lackeys can go ahead and go into the resource pile. Here, I could go ahead and ramp, but I don't think that's actually what I want to be doing. I think what I want to be doing is giving experience tokens and then killing the A-Wing. I could ramp, and kill the A-Wing, but then we can't get rid of the Dawn Interceptors. I suppose that's actually probably the highest upside play. Let's think about this. If I go and give experience tokens to my Star Viper, then I can trade with the Dawn. Actually, you know what? I take it all back. I think that I would like to deal damage equal to its power and then resource, because I want to guarantee my Palpatine flip this following turn. And this guarantees it. They have a Ray. All right, let's go patrolling V-Wing. And let's see what they've got. Let's claim initiative. And now we could potentially steal Ray. Depending on the situation, of course. Timely intervention, huh? Timely intervention could be interesting. I think what I want to do is get rid of this Phase 3 Dark Trooper. So I can timely intervention. Oh, they're changing the resources. So honestly, I could time intervention out the Super Laser Technician to kill their Sabine, which I think is a reasonable play. Let's see, think about this. I could use the one for my resource pile, though. I'm picking up 4 resources. Yeah, I think that is definitely doable. What do we get in our resource pile? Another Super Laser Tech. So the reason why I'm not going to deal damage to Rey here and then try to flip Palpatine is because the way Rey works, if she attacks, she's going to be able to go ahead and heal 2 damage from a unit. And that's going to make it so that I can no longer go ahead and steal the Rey. So we kind of have to play this a little bit tricky. We do have to make sure... Okay, we're going to get pillaged. Okay, so that's okay. Let's go ahead and... kill the interceptors? Wow, what do I want to do here? This is very tricky. Let's go ahead and deal damage to Rey just to see what we end up drawing. So now they attack, they heal. Let's play a TIE Fighter. And we're just going to attack and go ahead and heal 2. We really are looking for like a Devastator here, or like a Reinforcement Walker would be fantastic. Then go over to get an experience token over on the Interceptors. And then they flip Rey, give it another experience token. Okay, well, they're not going to... I wonder what they have for 2 resources since they're not... That's strange. What do they have? Oh, they definitely should have done an experience token on the Interceptors, but that's okay. Wow, what a kind of gross hand, huh? We don't really have many outs here. So I think our only option is to try to... I don't know. What can we do here? I guess we just play the Phase 3 Dark Trooper to start us off. Let's play a Crumb to heal 1. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I want to steal the Rey. That is what I want to do. I don't really see us winning the game without doing that. All right, let's go ahead and kill the Interceptors. We can command to return a Phase 3 Dark Trooper and resource if we wanted to, or give 2 experience to the Crumb. 2 experience is not exactly that exciting, but, you know. Daring Raid, huh? Okay. So let's go resource, return a unit. And then we can return the V-Wing, actually, because I'd rather get additional cards. They're going to Tarkin Town. We flip Palpatine. And this matchup is just really tough. We didn't have like one of those big haymakers. Ooh, they have a Wrecker as well. Brutal, man. Brutal. All right, let's kill Rey. I think they should attack base, to be honest. Don't really see a reason not to attack base here. Ugh. Traitorous and Overwhelming Barrage are not the draws that we are really looking for here. Let's go V-Wing. Drew ourselves in a resupply, and that is going to be game. So pretty tricky one, as I mentioned, if they have like pillages and such. Realistically, what happened here was we just couldn't get rid of all the things on the board, right? We had a Yularen, they had a Sabine. Sabine kills Yularen, right? That's just kind of how that works. We had a Star Viper, they put an experience on their A-Wing, and then they followed that up with a Sentinel in space, and then put another experience on something, right? Everything that we did kind of got completely wrecked by what they did, and the commands don't hit those unique units, which can be a little bit tricky. And then they pillaged us to prevent us having some extra options in hand, which would have actually helped out a lot. And then because of Rey, in that matchup, Rey heals up so that she can't get stolen from like a ping from Palpatine. So in that matchup, it's actually really, really good. It just all went poorly. Nice matchup from our opponent. They played well, and they got the win. So pretty nice one. Let's move on to our final game of today. Into our last matchup, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We got ourselves a Palp Green Mirror. Now this matchup's really about who can ramp into their big stuff first. And this hand I really do like. I am just going to resource this Escort Skiff and this Phase 3 Dark Trooper. It's all about stats in the early game. Let's go V-Wing, get a unit down, and then draw a card. And next turn we can go Resupply or Super Laser Technician. I like drawing a Super Laser Technician for sure. I think in this spot, I want to go Resupply. And the reason why I want to go Resupply is if they have a Traitorous here and they Traitorous my Super Laser Technician, the matchup is basically over for me, which is really, really bad. Scanning Officer, not that great here. So let's go to resource that. Let's see what 5-drop they have. Well, they have themselves a command. Get some experience going. I like it. I like it. Let's go ahead and play Super Laser Technician. Let's attack for 1. Let's deal a damage to the Yularen, and let's pass. Devastator's a nice draw. Star Viper. I think we can just resource one of these lackeys. They play a Royal Guard. Let's go ahead and play a lackey out. And then let's go ahead and play a Star Viper out. And if they have nothing else, we'll just take initiative. They have a secondary command. Okay, they're going to go ahead and experience and deal damage. Cool. Let's go ahead and just deal a damage to the Royal Guard then. And let's pass. So they had double command, so they ramped a little bit harder than we did. But, I mean, we can flip over a Palpatine, take their Royal Guard, and then they're going to take it back, which is totally reasonable. And then we are going to go and kill the Royal Guard, hit it for 6. And we're going to hit their Yularen. So the reason why I did this is we get to get rid of the Palpatines, and we have a little bit of a better hand, it looks like. Well, I take that back. They have themselves a Reinforcement Walker, which is quite nice for them. Let's go ahead and play ourselves a Royal Guard. Devastator comes down next turn, but that might be too late here. They had a really nice hand. They had double command. They have a Vader, and they have the Reinforcement Walker. Oof. I mean, there's not much we could do in this spot when our opponent's hand is like this crazy good. Let's go ahead and play our Quinton's Assault Carrier, ambush, kill it. They're going to hit my Emperor Palpatine, huh? I'm less scared of that, to be honest. Let's go ahead and play a Yularen. Let's claim initiative. So they're killing off all our units, which I'm really not that afraid of. If they're going to kill our units off, I'm much more happy with the spot that we're in than them just hitting our base. So we're going to go Vader now, and we are going to get a Royal Guard. And we are going to ambush kill their reinforcement walker. They have a Vader. They're going to attack our base. Let's go command. Resource experience. And let's see what they've got. They could have like a Devastator here, which makes it so it doesn't matter. Like nothing that we do matters. They have another reinforcement walker. That's probably going to be the end of the game. There's not really too much I could do about that. I'm going to need something pretty good. So our opponent drew really well. They had all the ramp into double reinforcement walker plus Darth Vader, which is exactly where you want to be. Like, when you're playing this matchup, you really, really want to be in a situation where you can kind of do it all, right? And that's exactly what they ended up doing. So here I think our only out is playing Darth Vader and trying to get an official unit. Which we didn't necessarily get. So, Phase 3 Dark Trooper is not an official unit, but a Sentinel, so that we can prevent ourselves from dying this turn. But that wasn't the case, because if we were able to go ahead and get an official unit, or not an official, a Phase 3 Dark Trooper, they'd have to attack with Palpatine. Then we attack with Star Viper. But yeah, really nice matchup. That was a fun one. Our opponent had a way better curve than we did. The double command really changes that matchup a lot. Because if you think about what happened there, we had to not only deal with their early threats, but then also they had follow-up to it, and they got to ramp. Whereas all we did was play a Super Laser Technician and play a resupply. That's why command is way more powerful, is when you're playing command, you generate threats and you ramp. Whereas resupply and Super Laser Technician just kind of ramp. Like, Super Laser Technician is not really a threat. I could have waited on the Emperor Palpatine flip, but no matter what I did, it was going to be really tough for me to win, because if we don't flip, they're not going to flip because they have board presence. So I just wanted to get that out of the way initially, and then try to battle them out and hope that they don't have a ton of top end. But they did have the ton of top end. So pretty nice one. Pretty fun matchup against the Palp Green Mirror. Awesome. Let's go ahead and talk about the deck in the final thoughts. So what do we learn with Palpatine Green? Well, big one was the ones we lost to. Palpatine Mirror and the Ray Red discard. So one of the things about Palpatine Green is it has a really good matchup against those most mid-range / ramp decks. It usually can go bigger. The exception is those discard decks where they can attack your hand while putting pressure out. And they can have a really nice curve, as you saw there, where they kind of countered everything that we did in the earlier stages of the game. Against most of the other decks, we actually have a pretty good matchup. And one other matchup that we have to be careful about is the Sabine Green. Although, well, in some cases, we can have a really nice curve where we have the Yularen into Royal Guard. I will say, with the addition of Scanning Officer and the kind of Phase 3 Dark Trooper, plus Enterprising Lackeys, you have a lot more options to deal with the early game. So it's not as bad of a matchup as it used to be. But it is still one of our worst matchups, alongside Ray Red. Although there's a reason why Palpatine Green is at the top of the meta, and it's because it can deal with Sabine Greens and all that type of stuff. It needs to have a proper draw. One big thing was, when we're playing against these more ramp / mid-range decks, it's all about who can do the most value in a single turn, which is generally true in a lot of games. But what I mean by that is, if you're able to put on pressure and ramp at the same time, which we saw in that last matchup, especially with command, you can just completely rush and ruin your opponent. Even if we had like a Darth Vader on a turn earlier, for example, or even played a reinforcement walker a turn earlier or whatever, it would not necessarily have mattered, because we had to deal with a 4/5 Yularen, a 5/7 Royal Guard, and whatever they played afterwards, and we had nothing. And that's where something like a Super Laser Blast coming in from the sideboard would really, really matter. Is you could just slot in a Super Laser Blast against the opponents that are ramping a ton. And in that spot, if we had Super Laser Blast instead of a Devastator in hand, we might have actually won the game. Not saying that we would have been in a great spot, but there was a chance there. And that's where those kind of cards come in into play. One other thing to mention is, when we're playing against all these sort of hand disruption slash tempo decks like Boba Yellow and Han Yellow, what we really have to watch out for is committing to these big plays that don't do anything immediately, which is one of the reasons why I've been playing one copy of our Quinton's Assault Cruiser, because if we play a Reinforcement Walker, that's usually not great. Playing an Enterprising Lackeys, that's fine. Escort Skiff, it ambushes, early plays are fine. If they waylay or Cantina Bounce or whatever. But if you play like a Reinforcement Walker and rely on that being your big play, that can be pretty brutal. And if you rely on things like Overwhelming Barrage as your big play, that can be pretty brutal as well. You want to be doing something that can impact the board immediately. Darth Vaders are a great top end for that. Escort Skiff does really well. Our Quinton's Assault Cruiser does really well. And then playing things like Royal Guard, Phase 3 Dark Trooper to kind of stall out the game, really, really good as well. Overall, this deck is amazing, and I've had a lot of fun. I like ramping, I like playing big stuff, and we got to play some Palpatine Green. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for the next one.